George's morning routine was his fortress. Hot coffee, the rustle of the newspaper. For 2 years since his wife Martha passed, this ritual was the only wall holding him up. He was 72. A retired accountant, he checked his bank balance every day. "Martha, I'm keeping your money safe," he whispered to himself. That morning, his eyes narrowed over the statement. A strange item at the bottom: star navigation, $4.99. Less than $5. But star navigation? George immediately felt uneasy. He printed the credit card statement. For the past 3 months, the small charge had appeared consistently on the 25th. He couldn't dismiss it as a simple mistake. George put on his reading glasses and scrutinized the entry. The charge was on an old credit card Martha used to use. Impossible. He was certain he had cancelled the card after she died. Yet, the banking app still listed the card as active. A chill ran down George's spine. Someone was using his deceased wife's identity. He walked to the window and looked out. The sunlight felt warm, but George's world had suddenly turned cold. This is just the beginning, he intuited. The small charge was likely bait for a larger scam. He immediately called the bank. As the hold music played on, George felt a crushing pressure in his chest. A cold, unfamiliar strain had infiltrated his peaceful retirement. He had to defend himself. This money was Martha's legacy, and his entire future. The bank representative told George the card was set up for a specific service maintenance under Martha's name, and that the cancellation process might have been overlooked. A simple subscription service, they suggested. George requested immediate cancellation, but the explanation didn't sit right. Martha rarely subscribed to anything online when she was alive. George headed to the small study where Martha kept her things. Martha's study was exactly as she left it 2 years ago. The smell of old books and dust. The bulky telescope in the corner. Martha loved astronomy. She always looked at the night sky, recording something. On the corner of her desk, George found a worn-out notebook. It was filled with complex math, formulas and strange, indecipherable English codes and numbers. On one page, the words "star navigation" were clearly written. George's head pounded. Star navigation. The exact name of the service charged to his card. A service left by his dead wife. George was overwhelmed by fear and mystery. This wasn't just identity theft. This scammer knew Martha's hobby and her secret records. His hands trembled, making it difficult to hold the notebook steady. His heart hammered in his throat. He flipped on the study light. His gaze scanned the room, filled with suspicion. Who had been in this room? Did someone see this code during Martha's funeral? George's memory was a confused mess. He spotted Martha's old laptop tucked away on the shelf. The power was off, and it was clearly password protected. George was certain the key to this mystery lay within this laptop, but he couldn't guess the password. He clenched his fist in frustration. This whole thing felt like a cryptic puzzle left by Martha herself. The small charge was cancelled, but George's anxiety only intensified. The next morning, looking out his window, he spotted a strange vehicle parked near his house. A dark van. The windows were heavily tinted, making it impossible to see inside. George felt a chilling dread. "They are watching me." George became convinced this mysterious shadow was targeting his money. He drew the curtains on every window, cutting himself off from the world. He couldn't ask the neighbors for help. He feared the gossip the old man got scammed. His lifelong pride and reputation felt like they were on the verge of collapsing. The anxiety peaked in the evening. George reached into the fridge for a beer. His hands were shaking as he tried to open the can, when a dark shadow moved quickly past his living room window. My God! He dropped the beer glass, shattering it on the floor. Glass shards scattered everywhere. George gasped, struggling for breath. He immediately checked the front door. It was locked tight. Then, his cell phone rang. Restricted number. George held his breath. Hesitantly, he answered. "Hello?" Distorted voice came through the receiver. "Mr. George, why did you cancel the star navigation subscription?" George's eyes widened. "Who are you? How do you know that?" The voice ignored his question. "You are destroying Martha's legacy. You will pay the price." The call disconnected. George, feeling drained, leaned against the wall and slid down to the floor. He realized this was no longer about money. This was a threat against Martha's memory, and against George's very life. He stared at Martha's laptop. "Martha, what in the world did you get involved in?" George knew he couldn't navigate this darkness alone. He needed help. George decided he needed young blood. The next morning, he posted a somewhat suspicious ad on the local university's IT department bulletin board seeking professional help. Absolute secrecy guaranteed. Hours later, a student named Emily called him. Emily looked to be in her early 20s. Long straight hair, casual clothes. To George's mind, everything about her was alarming. "Can I really trust my secret to this girl?" George led Emily to Martha's study. He confessed everything: the charges, the threats, the strange phone call. Emily listened with a serious expression. She commented, "Interesting. This doesn't seem like a simple phishing attempt." That simple remark offered George a strange sense of relief. Finally, someone believed his story. Emily immediately sat down at Martha's laptop. She typed complex codes and ran various programs. George watched Emily navigate the mouse and keyboard, glimpsing a foreign world of technology. Emily's movements were fast, but the laptop's password wasn't easy to crack. "This password is next level." Martha wasn't an ordinary person, was she? Emily remarked. After hours of effort, Emily discovered an encrypted file deeply hidden within the laptop. The file name was Orion Project. Emily couldn't open the file yet, but she confirmed the creation date was just 2 days before Martha passed away. George inhaled sharply. Martha had been preparing something just before her death. George was sure this file was the core of the mystery. Emily told George, "I need more time to crack the file. But I analyzed the file's metadata, and I found external access logs." George's eyes darted nervously. "External access? The scammer already saw it?" Emily shook her head. "No, the access IP address belongs to a public Wi-Fi near your house. And the access log shows a connection every night at 11 p.m., for exactly 2 minutes and 30 seconds. George was again overwhelmed with fear. The scammer was right near his house. They were watching George every single night. Emily managed to recover a very short message from the encrypted file's header. The message was just 2 words: "I see." George covered his mouth with his hand. "My God, I see." This message was a personal threat directed straight at him. Emily looked again at the credit card statement. "George, doesn't this strike you as strange? They had full access to your account, but the only charge was a tiny $4.99 maintenance fee. Why didn't they touch your $340,000 in life savings?" Emily's question hit George hard. "Then their goal isn't money?" George was utterly confused. If not money, what was their objective? Martha's secret and George's actions. George started to believe this mystery was not a simple financial scam, but some dangerous undertaking related to Martha's past. He quickly opened Martha's notebook again. The codes were complex, but he spotted a faint drawing of the Orion constellation, Martha's favorite, symbolized within the complex figures. The chase had officially begun. George connected Martha's notebook and the encrypted file name, Orion Project. He shared stories with Emily about Martha's lifelong passion for astronomy. Martha always said she was reading codes in the night sky. Every single constellation had a meaning for her. George's voice was filled with both sorrow and nostalgia. Emily seized this clue. Did Martha have a special cipher or code she used often? For example, converting "I love you" into specific star coordinates? George fell deep into thought. He recalled Martha's personality. Martha always joked, "George, your password should be the most beautiful number." The most beautiful number. George thought of everything related to Martha. Their wedding anniversary, his son's birthday. All were dead ends. Then, George's eyes stopped at a framed photo on the mantelpiece. Martha's most cherished item. The frame contained a picture of the Orion constellation they had seen on the night they first met. Below the picture, Martha had written in her handwriting December 12, 1973. Emily entered that date into the laptop. The Orion Project encrypted file finally unlocked. Inside, along with vast amounts of astronomical data, was a personal letter written by Martha addressed to George. The letter was Martha's final message, but the last line was chillingly ominous. "I check every night to ensure your memories are safe." The warning message I see and Martha's final line, "I check every night to ensure your memories are safe," clashed in George's mind. George was terrified and deeply confused. Martha was watching him, even after death. George cried out to Emily, "Does this make sense? Martha set up a trap for me." Emily spoke calmly. "I think this is a self-defense system Martha created. If an outsider accessed this file, or if a specific card was cancelled, it was designed to send a warning. It's a system that reacts if anyone tries to touch Martha's legacy." But the identity of the person exploiting this system remained a mystery. Then, George's phone rang again. This time, it was an email from Star Navigation Administrator. The message read, "Mr. George, if you do not reply to this email by midnight with Martha's final wish, all of Martha's digital legacy will be permanently deleted, and your financial safety system will be destroyed along with it." George sank into despair. Martha's final wish. It was a secret known only to him and Martha. George grabbed the laptop, weeping, trying to recall every memory of Martha. Emily watched George. Martha's laptop screen still showed the password prompt. Emily suddenly realized this final wish was the laptop's ultimate password. George stopped crying and spoke. "Martha's final wish. She always said her final wish was to never forget our first meeting. She said memory is our true wealth." Their first meeting date, 19,731,212. was already used for the file encryption. The location of their first meeting, George struggled to recall it. Emily asked George, "George, do you remember the zip code of where you first met?" George's eyes lit up. "Of course. It's 90,210. Emily's hand trembled as she typed 90,210 into Martha's laptop password field. Ding. The laptop unlocked. A video Martha recorded 2 years ago played on the screen. Martha was smiling at George. "Honey, if you're watching this, it means you're still remembering me even though I'm gone." Martha explained why she created the system. "I wanted to protect our memories. If anyone tried to access these records, my system was set to send a warning message automatically. It's my personal AI shield protecting you." Martha smiled. "And that Star Navigation service? It's a service that inscribes my name in the night sky every year on our anniversary. Never cancel it, dear." George slumped down, relief washing over him. There was no scammer. Everything had been a test of love, and a final legacy from Martha to protect George from the dangers of the world. George wiped his tears. The fear and mystery instantly transformed into deep emotion and love. He was no longer alone. Martha was still there, watching over him. He finally understood what the true safe of a lifetime meant.